Hello， 各位观众，欢迎大家收看第2届的德玛西亚杯。今天是16进8的比赛，我是泽源，
我是炮七。
好，大家好，我是 TGS 的白色牙。
那么小白，其实我跟炮七在之前对德玛西亚杯也是有所了解，但是作为一个常年混迹于职业电竞圈的选手
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the LPL English stream. It's actually today Demacia Cup, of course. So, for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, we're going to see this wonderful desktop screen that they're getting ready to start the game off as we move back into it. Hey, Frostgren. I'm Fire Technics. Frostgren on the desk with me as we are getting ready to get these games going. What's going on?
I'm kind of excited to be here, actually. It's been a while since I got to cover the Demacia Cup. Again, just a catch-up for those of you who don't know what the Demacia Cup is. It's a massive tournament that included all LSPL, LPL, TGA Grand Prix teams. I'm
Pretty big
trying to
tournament.
think back. Yeah, with Hang-On Club, people like that in it. We are now into round of 16, so we've moved on past the initial round of 32. Huge tournament, prize pool. There's no circuit points or anything up for grab. It's literally for the fame, the glory, the money, which I believe first place is $115,000, and that's US dollars. So
Yeah, I did the math, didn't you?
I had things translated to me.
Oh, is that how it works? Oh, I need to hire one of those. Okay. Tonight's matchups, of course. We kind of had a reversal of the schedule. It was initially going to be World Elite versus Positive Energy first, and then RM versus Snake after the fact, but that's going to get mixed up because World Elite is currently involved in the NEST tournament, I believe.
I believe it might be XCS, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay, there's a lot of them,
They're playing
apparently.
right now, though, so World League is effectively going back-to-back. So we'll see if that maybe affects their performance later on today.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They're up against Positive Energy, who used to be a LPL team, but recently they're not doing so hot. 10th place in the LSPL summer. Speaking of places, our first match of the night, Snake and RM. This is kind of top versus bottom right here. Snake finished in 2nd place and RM in very close to dead last. And the last time they met up, well, I'll let you explain how that happened.
It was pretty much a 2-0. You are correct. RM is 14th right now out of 16 teams, so you do the math on that one. Snake, although I kind of wish they would get into picks and bans. Now, Snake is a little bit interesting. There is a high probability that we will see King and Snake, the two first and second place teams in LSPL, joining the LPL, especially as it grows next time around. They have a bit of an interesting reputation. They went to Korea. They kind of secretly, I don't know if you know this part, they had this team and they have this this all-star top laner who's only like 14 years old.
They just stuck him on a plane.
Yeah, well, they
Snakes on a plane. Who would have thought of that?
They secretly swept away, and then they came back, and now they're the Korean boot camped LSPL team that's supposed to, again, I feel like we keep falling into LSPL hype. I watched a couple of their scrims last night to try to prepare for this, and they looked decent.
Yeah, a lot of the times this is where the talent pool starts. I mean, we saw Young Glory starting to get their act together towards the end of the LPL. Academy kind of had a few ups and down moments, but these are all teams that came up from the LSPL and really made a statement for themselves. So it'll be really exciting to see how Snake does coming into the next season. But of course, tonight they're definitely going to be the heavy favorites over RM.
Oh yeah, I believe that both these games have heavy favorites, although we'll maybe see if World Elite can finally win a game.
Oh man, low blow, kick them while they're down. Yeah, World Elite has had so many troubles, and that heartbreaking news that they were out by the tiniest of margins in the playoffs over against LGD. I mean, that's got to sting.
Came down to the length of the game. What I did want to say, though, speaking of Snake, though, and since you brought up World Elite Academy, is actually I feel like there's so many Chinese tournaments going on right now, which, can either be a detriment or a bonus, however you want to look about, or however you want to examine teams prepping and what's more important to prep for, but they were actually knocked down in the XCS tournament into the lower bracket by World Elite Academy. They will get a chance to face them again, but just some useful information that the last time those two teams fought, that Snake was on the losing end.
They aren't perfectly perfect. Yeah, Snake is an interesting team. I am excited to see how they perform here. I mean, even though they are favorites, we have seen all the crazy kind of upsets happen all across the Chinese leagues and in tournaments as well. There have already been LPL teams knocked out of the Demacia Cup. For example, we talked about LGD. They are no longer competing.
Actually upset by the opponents of Snake RM.
Yeah, go figure, right?
RM was 10th when they beat LGD though, and I will say that when LGD was defeated, it was probably the weakest LGD, at least that week, currently in LPL that we'd seen from them.
They had some troubles during the middle of the split, and then kind of like had a little bit of an awakening and jumped back up to the top, or jumped back up rather to the middle. Kind of helped them at the very end. Of course, it also helped the World Elite didn't win any of those games that they needed to.
Again, though, we'll see. I'm really curious to see if World Elite, the fact that they're doing back-to-back tournaments is already a detriment, because you have to think quality time to prep for an opponent. That said, they should have plenty of time to prep because they don't have to worry about the playoffs. That said, you know, playing from the back foot, the fact that they didn't make it to the playoffs, I mean, I'm wondering if they're playing on tilt, if they're going to try up some new things. And speaking of trying up new things, you mentioned Positive Energy. Initially, Positive Energy completely lost almost their entire roster. I believe that Xiong is the only remaining previous member. I guess that they were
from OMG, right?
Well, yeah, because they're intertwined organizations. But the previous roster wasn't the happiest with how the organization was treating them, and literally as soon as their contracts expired, all of them left. So no more Sika, things like that. Their new roster, or at least the one that I was witnessing the last time I watched them in LSPL, was Destroy, and forgive me if I mispronounce their jungler's name. I've tried a couple different variations. I'm going to go with Panja. So Destroy, Panja, Xiong, Polaris, and South One.
Yep, Panja is how I've been hearing it too. Yeah, kind of an unknown factor there, with the exception of Jiang, who should be actually fairly well known to the Western audience, considering he was on OMG during the All-Stars tournament.
Yeah, and it was funny too, because I was trying to do the research and look up the teams, and I watched the last Positive Energy match in LSPL, and go figure, he's playing Syndra. I was like, I see nothing has changed.
Yep, well, sometimes you gotta stick with what you know, and can't expect too much different. I suppose even with the new roster, there's going to be a lot of interesting choices, I think, going forward. As far as this first matchup goes, let's get a little bit away from Positive Energy, shift our energies to Snake and RM. With these two teams that, you know, maybe aren't as knowledgeable, or people aren't as knowledgeable of them, they're not as accessible, especially to the Western audiences, how do you expect them really to play up against each other, except for, you know, of course, the obvious difference in the ranking being kind of thrown out the window?
In all honesty, I don't have the best experience or background with either of these teams. Like I said, I did a bit of studying last night. Flandre?
It's a hard name.
It's, I'm probably butchering it. I'm going to feel so awful, especially because chances are likely that we'll see King and Snake in LPL next split when they, you know, grow. He's supposed to be kind of like a next PDD carry-style top winner, things like Fizz top, Kale top. So I'm kind of interested to see what he'll possibly bring out, especially because currently in the meta, you know, things like Maokai, Alistar, Gragas are incredibly potent. You know, it's kind of in that fall away. Although there is the Aurelia pickup that he could, you know, go back to if he wanted to be like a true carry top laner. Last time I saw Fan2Fan playing quirky things like that, calling Leona player. As far as RM, I know probably even less about them. Although
we're gonna find out though. Here we go.
I know that their jungler, I'm gonna pronounce it Jue. Again, I totally apologize if I get that one wrong. Plays Vi. Even when it's off meta, will play Vi.
Really?
Oh, but there's that Fizz ban,
okay, so
being banned by Snake.
that's justifying you a little bit there. Fizz taken off the table. Now Alistar is too. So a lot of interesting focus now. By the way, you mentioned a little bit of the meta stuff, and of course, you know, with China being on the current patch now, this gets really exciting with the preparation for Worlds coming in close.
We say current patch, but what we really mean is 3.13. So
4.
or 4. I always say 3.
Well,
I'm just like, I'm so used to China being, you know, like 20 patches.
Oh man, that'd be a really interesting transfer over. But okay, picks are now coming in as the bans were completed. Zed and Braum off the table at the end, and Flandre is going to take the first lock in. It's going to be Lee Sin, who's always a hot contest in China, so that's going to be interesting.
Likely that will go over to the Jungle Reborn. That said, though, this guy is supposedly the 14-year-old Korean hype-trained top laner. So, I mean, there is a chance that you could have a very aggressive top pick. We will see as, second rotation comes out for them. But on the other side, RM picking up that Yasuo and the Lucian.
Yeah, and the Yasuo, I think, is a bit of a flex pick. Because it's one of those things that if you are a carry top laner, you can go for. Wouldn't be too surprised if they do end up sending it on Hawk, though. As well as the Lucian pickup has been so popular, even as other regions have kind of dropped off using him in the AD carry role.
Just so disappointed. I do like the Corki pickup, and with that Gragas, though, that does say that it is going to be for sure a Lee Sin jungle, that Gragas being shifted up into the top lane.
Not too surprised, I suppose. And the Corki answer. I really like that too. It's mobility for mobility, right?
Corki, of course, going to bring, I personally believe, a bit more late game in the form of mixed damage than Lucian.
Most definitely.
Ooh, although very much a poke composition right now with that Nami Lucian. Very Ogian-centric picks coming out. Like if you think about Rengar.
Yeah, all that's really missing is if they send Yasuo top and maybe opt for like an Orianna pickup. Ooh, Twisted Fate? No, Kassadin. I forgot all about Kassadin.
Kassadin doesn't really see, I mean, he sees action, but if you think about in context of the other global regions, it's not kind of the same.
Well, it's still banned very frequently too.
It's banned and it wins, but there's not like almost the same emphasis on it than other regions, and you have to think that Kassadin counters are emerging. The fact that Yasuo was already on the board would tell me not to pick that. If they wanted to send that Yasuo up in the top lane and grab the Rise for the counter pick, like the answers have really been found, particularly in Korea for the Kassadin.
Yeah. Speaking of answers being found, knowing that the Gragas will most likely be in the top lane, they go ahead and take Mundo to pick up for Hound. And I've liked this answer a lot, actually. It definitely neutralizes a lot of the effectiveness, especially in the early game.
Because you're competing against a sustain lane, so you're competing against Gragas W, although this is the patch that Gragas got his nerfs coming in. I still think he's very strong, but important to note that. Mundo, of course, in the counter to Gragas is the fact that he can build the Spirit Visage straight out the gate because he's facing an AEP opponent, which will help synergize with his own built-in sustain on his ultimate.
And then he becomes
so
a monster
very nice
late
pickup
game.
there. Exactly, outscales. Looking at the comps across the board, though, I like the mixture of power spikes. I feel that Snake is relying very heavily on Flandre's late game, particularly for scaling, though. Twisted Fate is going to be okay, but he's more of kind of a, I'm going to call him like a utility scaling champion as opposed to like a straight nuke. Corki has his high point in mid game. I think he's going to out-damage Lucian late game, unless 9769 just it's like a phone number.
I'm gonna call him like 9 or something. I don't know. It's gonna be ridiculous to try and fully pronounce that. Yeah, maybe it's like text me or something. It's like how he advertises himself.
Hey girl, I see you saw me in LSPL. 10th place, text me.
Oh.
14th, excuse me.
You pull no punches.
They beat LGD though, so I can't even.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, all of the RM smack talk kind of comes back to they beat the team that is going to the playoffs of the LPL. I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
We'll see how big their statement lasts, though. I'm assuming that they're loading up and getting ready for the Rift,
Yeah, it
and
should be.
perhaps nothing went wrong with their champion select. If you're
I see no
gonna
bags
put
on
your
the
money,
heads,
Pyro,
though.
I'm gonna.
I'm disappointed.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Snake or RM? Where are you gonna go with this one?
You know,
We saw the
before
compositions
all
now.
of this, I would have easily given it over to Snake, but I like RM's comp. I think they have a lot of answers. It's hard to call who's going to win this one, to be honest. They're both very well balanced, but I think with the exception of the AD carry, which we all know is prioritized very heavily in China, it's going to be RM having the better late game composition. We'll have to see how long this one goes. As we get loaded onto Summoner's Rift, there's of course an easy pause coming in. It does happen.
My one concern is the jungling matchup, Lee Sin versus Rengar. Rengar is very difficult to use for teams, and I feel like Lee Sin has a lot more accessibility to him. I haven't looked or examined as closely the LSPL junglers, but if we assume that there are better junglers in LPL, I feel like there's not one jungler in LPL that can really utilize Rengar. I think probably the most successful case that we've seen for him was actually when Insect played him against
I was gonna
Krulov.
say, Insect's been pretty decent on him, but he also comes from a region where
But
it's much more recognized strengths.
But I feel like it's not necessarily Insect playing Rengar well, because if you watch Insect mechanically play Rengar, he doesn't know how to play that champion. He constantly doesn't use the combo correctly. In particular, when you
He does make clearing wards look good, though.
he does make clearing wards look good, particularly when you leap Bola. He messes that one up all, and I'm just like, how are you?
Well, they still do well enough on him because they build compositions that work with it.
Well, it's
And
not even that.
that's
It's
kind
that he can easily prey on the Chinese teams, simply because if you think about where his strong points are in counter ganking, in taking advantage of lanes being pushed and things like that, the fact that there's an underdeveloped sense of warding and covering your flanks like that allows Rengar to kind of really get in there and to cause havoc.
What
So
you're
I
saying
don't
is it's easy prey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's just much easier to accomplish kind of that jungle pressure with Lee Sin, especially for the Chinese players, because they are so mechanically proficient that they're able to, do those crazy cacao, insect, whatever you want to call it, moves. Whereas I think Rengar, it's a bit more finesse and a lot more team coordination, and it really depends on how the other team is going to respond. And frankly, if it's a second place team versus a 14th place team, and you're the one playing Rengar, I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll completely prove me wrong and just start monstering people on Rengar.
Yeah, I mean,
but my
we'll have
hopes
to
are
see.
not high.
Dwayne, kind of an unknown factor. We'll have to see how he ends up going on it. With regards to Lee Sin, though, I mean, that's been a staple of Chinese play for a little while now, and it's kind of a testament to the way that they like fighting. Get in your face early and often and be able to pick people off. And when they pull those kicks like crazy, those are the kind of things that really turn a fight in your favor really quickly, and that's why it's almost so prized. Let's see how Reborn does on it, but I feel like
he has 40 AP.
Yep, that is an interesting choice. Full pickup. All right, we'll keep an eye on that one. We have seen that to some extent, but back to Lee Sin really quickly. I feel like when you graduate like LPL or LSPL jungling school, you have to like take a Lee Sin proficiency test. Like everybody who plays Lee is great on
That's the driver's ed.
Yeah.
I've always really been impressed, though. Anytime I do watch an LSPL game, I will say that I don't know if maybe it's because there's more teams. You have an influx of literally just more ideas and creativity as far as pick spans, as far as play styles are concerned. But I've seen some really impressive things from LSPL teams. Although,
well,
not
speaking
being
of
able to pull
impressive,
the gold card.
there we go. He gets it. It's okay. Give Copy a little credit. Hawk's going to take a few auto attacks, and Reborn comes to the party. What exactly is Hound doing all the way down there? Taking care of business.
They don't necessarily have the wards to, try to check for a lane swap, and I believe that Corki has already been spotted out, so I don't think it's an issue of, he's debating if they're going to lane swap or not. It's simply because he has the skill shot, and whenever you have the skill shot champion, you can literally do whatever you want. I think Monte Cristo said it best in the KT Arrows Blue finals. He talks about how when a champion like Nidalee, like Mundo, has that cleaver, they effectively have complete control over the early game, and they get to place deep wards should they want to. In that case, he just wanted to smack Copy in the face. And speaking of getting smacked, there's that Twisted Fate Yasuo matchup.
Yeah, a little bit rough for TF in the early. Copy learns his lesson the hard way.
That is rough all game. That is not winning your lane. That is winning everyone else's lane.
Oh boy. Okay, hello. Back away, Luo. Colin getting a little bit of aggressive poke out. And we didn't talk as much about the Leona pickup. It has been kind of a not unheard of choice. But
this is
when
a
you
really
pick it,
common lane for Snake. I will say that.
Yeah.
I watched some of their scrims back from like 5.25, so you think a few months ago. And they were running Corki Leona.
Yeah, and it's working pretty well for them, actually. So considering the early game power presence of Lucian, 9-7 has had some real trouble even just farming. He's CS to begin the game.
That said, they're going to be relying on the sustain for Nami, and of course, it's kind of like a level game. As soon as she gets more points into that W, it's going to turn out to be a little bit easier.
May not get the
Hits
chance,
next level,
though. This is a bit of... Oh, well, he was able to push that one off. He's like, okay, I'll go right back on you. He's actually not even trying to go for fan-to-fan. He realizes it's going to be very difficult to get to that point where he can put the aggression. I think Fan is got almost on point positioning this game. He's been very perfect in not allowing a lot of poke to come his way. Colin's
well, the answer for Corki that people have been finding is Nami, because she's able to counter his poke, and the fact that they're not bringing like a double poke lane, that it's a Leona Corki. Leona does have the tools, like so you think back to the holy trinity of kind of poke, sustain, hard engage.
Oh, they go hard for that one though. Colin might have made a mistake here. He goes way too far. Gets ignited. He might go down, but so far so good. It will force the back, and Fan just says, all right, I'll fight you. He actually forced 9-7 back in lane just a little bit. Now Reborn waiting around the side for the Yasuo harass, and the gold card comes in, but Winwald away. Oh, Hawk playing with my heart here.
Very nice Winwald. Pulls blue card. Don't worry. Wanted that mana. I meant to do it. He did. He was almost him.
I heard Reggie say the same thing. Oh, uh-oh, here comes Dway. He's got double buffs too. Fear the Rengar.
But that's the thing. Like, Rengar isn't his pre-level 6 ganks.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. You're completely reliant on a counter gank because you need them to fight you, simply because you literally have 0 tools, unless you hit like a Bola.
You're used to that if you're playing someone like Vi all the time.
Exactly, to get them to fight you. So that's the big issue. It's all about like the lanes and predicting exactly where the enemy jungler is going to be and making sure that you can time up with that, which he already missed the boat on the mid lane. So typically Rengars will just, you know, farm in the jungle till 6 and gank the mid lane through the back of the lane.
Yeah, no, it's the perfect kind of champion if you just want to get your Feral stacks up, and it looks like that's what he's looking to do. Completes himself the Madrids right now.
Does get a very early pink ward though.
Ah, that is a very nice choice. Ooh, Hawk, man, he does not even care about tower shots. That is a mid lane that is getting shoved in. Expect a lot more attention from Reborn.
Very rough for that Twisted Fate. But again, it's never about winning your own lane as Twisted Fate. It's always about winning the side lanes. The fact that he does have a Leona
Gragas telegank right now. Colin goes in for this one. Dodges the bubble out. So moving fast, man, as he gets the body slam on, and First Blood is going to go over to Colin. They picked up 97-69. Well, that's a lot of numbers right there, but it was 1 kill.
9,769
It is
kills
over
with
9,000, but it
down.
didn't save him.
I like the fact that, although I don't think he pushed his wave as appropriately, although a very nice response from him, I'm going to give it to a nice response from Hound, actually, to shove the lane into the tower and at least deny some of the CS, but fact of the matter is he still got the assist, which buys him that sheen, so it is going to be a very aggressive Gragas. We'll see if that goes either Lich or... What, Gauntlet? Yes, Iceborne Gauntlet.
It probably will go up to the Gauntlet first. We actually saw this like at the very beginning of the top lane Gragas craze, that it was kind of everybody doing that for a while. Like they went very aggressive, like Iceborne or Trinity sometimes when they're like feeling really crazy.
It would make sense because he's against triple AD, but again, the fact that he is supposed to be this PDD-esque second coming, if you will, of a top laner. You know, I could see some true.
He's been keeping pace pretty
AP.
well too. I mean, he's got just as much CS at the moment. He was able to recover from it, and since Mundo is supposed to be a zoning threat in that early game against a Gragas, I think he's been playing quite nicely actually.
It's unfortunate when we really haven't gotten to visit. There we go, camera guy.
There we go. Pan back up there. Let's see what Flender's doing.
Well, there's
too bad.
There's been pretty much 0 map pressure from the jungler on either side, and that said, Mundo doesn't have the best regen pre-level 6, and you're competing against Gragas W, which now does cost mana, but...
You can see why they took the Leona pickup though. I mean, aside from it being a common choice, the lockup, the CC that they have, single target, pre-6, is incredibly useful for things like that telegank, and it was just really well timed by Snake.
Dway does have his level 6 right now, whereas Reborn is still level 5. There he goes, level 6 off of that red buff.
He was slightly
see
behind,
what
but he also
does
had more map
with
pressure.
the element. Okay, so look at this.
Yeah.
He immediately gets his buff. You see the pings instantaneously go down in the mid lane, although it looks like Twisted Fate is moving around. No, he's just warding his side. Did find a pink ward, though.
Ooh, yeah,
Are they going to engage on this?
I don't think so.
They're
moving
pinching.
for it, but I think they're really worried about where Reborn is.
Okay, here we go. Here's the pings.
Oh, copy's going in. Okay,
Ultimate
here comes
engage.
Dway. Oh my goodness, he misses on the bola, but he forced the flash out. That was close.
He meant to hit that creep. Was that an insect bola?
You are so mean sometimes.
No, that's the the thing with the bullet is you're supposed to leap, and in mid-leap you throw the bullet, and it's guaranteed to hit. Like, the fact that he didn't utilize his leap because he didn't utilize his stacks properly, or the brush, and then, you know, bull is a creep. That was a waste of an ultimate, and it's back to the jungle for him.
If the topic of Insect comes up on your Summoning Insight tomorrow, I'm going to be tuning in intently. Is it tonight? Oh, man, I've lost track of time.
What year is it? Oh.
Well, considering what patch it is. I just go by, like, what patch, and that's how I can tell the time.
Missed the Jumanji reference, it's okay.
Yeah, I know.
Your feels are still intact.
They're still, no, well, I wouldn't say that entirely. I'm just, like, trying to block it out right now. Still really sad about Robin Williams.
Can we talk about the bot lane, though? That's 76 CS to 57.
It's a pretty big deal right now, considering Lucian's early game.
Yeah, and considering that Lucian is going to fall off compared to Corki. That's literally exactly the opposite place that you want to be in.
Well, we were talking about the comps and how it looked like it was in RM's favor, but Snake is clearly just the outclassing team right now. The only lane that they're losing, CS-wise, is the mid, and they picked for that eventuality. Now, Reborn up to the top is going to get that cow kick off onto Hound, instantly popping his ultimate, but they're going to look to chase him down, burst him. Another kill picked up this time for the jungler of Snake. And meanwhile, speaking of junglers, here comes Dwayjway, but they're playing very safely for this one. And they've got a pink ward in try if he does try to go around that way.
They have turned off to the dragon, so again, trying to answer the fact that the jungle pressure was top lane. They have pulled it, although they are on a ward, and they're also competing against Destiny. Should Copy
Oh, Fan2Fan knows all about this, and look at that, damage just immediately. It's just a 4-man, though, because Hawk's there. Fan2Fan doesn't know this, but he's still chasing everyone off. Copy trying to chase Hawk as well, and they stop it successfully with not much show of force.
And the fact of the matter is that RM wasn't in position visually to try to counter on that. They didn't have the wards set up to make that a good, clean dragon clear, so... Again, it's not recognizing the fact that they weren't communicating with their top laner, like, hey, there's a chance that you could be dove, that Lee Sin might be in your area. We don't have the proper pinks or the proper vision set up to secure this dragon should something go down up there. And Snake, with the return, they pull Flandre from the top lane and take a free dragon.
Yeah, really no contest in this. You can just see the team that is making the smarter decisions, that is making the better plays. RM is simply outclassed, and this is the reason why you have such a differential in where they're ranked. Oh boy, on the edge of the solar flare, but 9-7's going to be able to dash away. Still.
Gate's going up top, though, I think.
Yeah,
no,
this is dangerous. Actually, Reborn might be making his way up there.
He was looking at it, but I think they
I don't think Flandre needs the help, to be honest. This is a Gragas outdueling a Mundo.
Don't worry. He's here for the chaos.
Oh boy, he might just get it. Boom. That's 2 kills for Lee Sin. Oh boy, here we go. They're going to get a Rengar in there. There's the tidal wave, but again, that was a little bit too early. Colin might just get away. The exhaust goes down. And Dwayjway chased away. 97 might be in a bit of trouble as well. Phosphorus Bomb. One more effort by Dwayjway, but he can't do it. When you're losing a 2v3. Oh, here comes Copy. He gets in just in time. The gold card pulled off, and they get themselves a kill. That one went into the hands of Fan2Fan, and they might find a little bit more. Nope, not quite yet. Here comes Hawk. Copy's in trouble. Can he chase him down? Colin gets the stun off. Wow, the disengage is real, Frostgrin. That was quite a close call, but Snake still only 1 death. Oh, Colin finally goes down.
I'm looking at Copy in this brush. Meanwhile, Leona's getting tower dive.
Yep.
Okay, oh, and Hound actually picks up Corki in that mid lane.
Yep, that's a little bit of trouble now. Hound is getting found out by Copy and Reborn. Oh
He's
boy.
Walk it out. Power walk it out. Can we talk again how the initial gank with Dwayjway coming out of that brush, with Colin kind of overextended face check. The only reason Colin initially got away, of course, goes down later on to the tower dive from Hawk. Good counter engage from Hound and Hawk right there to make something that his team kind of floundered on. He missed the Bola again. He bowled before he leapt, and not locking Leona down for that CC. The mechanical misstep was what allowed Leona to walk away initially.
Yeah, effectively that kind of was the end result of it. Now, Colin barely died, to be honest. That was a really good chase from Hawk at the end of it, but rather trade the support than your mid laner.
How does one barely die?
Just like that?
Just like that.
I
just
just step
not
out
thinking
for a
about
brief
that.
second, Frosk. I know you can cover this, but I'll be right
Oh,
back.
no, I
promise.
got you. Solo cast time with Frosk. I know you guys are super excited to be here with me. Let's see, what can I, let's examine this vision right here. Usually I'm used to my play-by-play caster throwing me the topics to talk about and just kind of leading me on. Frankly, the vision control is pretty lackluster on the map right now. We did have the one pink that Snake utilized to clear and secure the dragon when they made their shift down there, but I mean that's not due to superior dragon control, but more so for RM kind of misusing their pressure on the map and having an untimely back, not staggered. Since Dragon is down as well as the blue buff, there's really no point to have bottom wards. We should see this warding kind of flip up to the top lane, especially since Snake has kind of made it their MO to continuously gank that top lane and pressure that Mundo down into oblivion. Although Hawk, now going in hard on copy here, pulls the gold card into a win wall, gets kicked back. They see the Rengar exclamation point, decide to back off from that. Unfortunately, Zhuizhui has yet to really find a successful gank, and Reborn camping that mid lane very hard, which again, it's a matchup that Twisted Fate should not win. And the fact that it's effectively a 2v1 in the mid lane for the most part is literally what's keeping him decently in this. That said, the CS difference, 40 CS right now, you have to think every 12 CS is about a kill, so right now, what, Hawk? I can do math, about technically 4 kills up as far as gold. Unfortunately, I'm not on the TR client, so I can't toggle what that's going to mean for him. Does have some completed core items, like that Shiv. I didn't time his back the last time he did it, although teleport gate coming in. Fondre should be in that mid lane. There we go. See if he's got the cast. Doesn't even need it. Isn't going to have to burn it. Very nice gank. And that's kind of the threat with Twisted Fate. Anytime he's not in a lane, you have to expect that if he has the ability to gate, he's going to use it back into any sort of lane. So then it becomes Twisted Fate's not in the lane, he's back, he's MIA. Everyone has to pull back, respect their lanes. Flounder now walking back up. He says, hey, CS. The fact that he's had so many successful ganks, so 4 assists right now out of 5 kills. That's a ridiculous kill participation. Oh, the cacao back for Dwayne into copy. Know where he can go. They skirt it all the way to the edge of the tower. Another clean kill for this Twisted Fate. And again, it's effectively been a 2v1 on the mid lane. This Rengar rendered completely useless. His score doesn't necessarily, I mean, he's not reflecting too terrible of things, but for the amount of ganks that he's attempted and the amount of ultimates that he's wasted to come up empty-handed on it. This is hard. Solo casting's no fun. Watching this Gragas duel this out with Hound. There's literally nothing he can do. And, oh, I was right. He went for the Lich as opposed to the Iceborne Gauntlet. Just huge damage. He used the W before he actually tanked the tower. Realizes that he doesn't have enough mana. He took too many shots and he teleports out of there knowing that Mundo can do nothing to stop him. Good recognition. If he was a second too late on that teleport, though, it would have spelled the end for him. So the fact that he understood his limits so well is really impressive to me right there. And again, that player is 14 years old, so wow. That was really unique. I haven't seen something like that in a long time. But again, going back to it, the fact that he went for the Lich Bane as opposed to the Iceborne Gauntlet really speaks to that style of being that hyper-aggressive champion, but hold on a second, because Lu caught out. Huge solar flare. Again, completely on warding. And speaking of warding, look at the pinks in the inventory right now for Snake. They have 3 pink wards as well as the pink that's already still live on Dragon. So, you know, 4 pinks available to them. Know that they don't have to use it, although they were planning, like the fact that they were making the aggressive moves and they have so many pinks in the inventory tells me that they were methodically kind of ticking how they wanted to deal with this. Again, now 97 getting caught up by a nice Zenith Blade. Methodical warding throughout the jungle. They had the ward to catch where both Nami and Lucian were. No reason for 97 to be over there. He had just seen his support get blown up, so of course he knew it was going to be warded. They move in as a unit now that they have the numbers advantage since their Gragas is in the mid lane, and they put all these deep backwards there so they can later on use that information to make a play, particularly over the blue buff since Dragon isn't available. Typically, once Dragon's down, you're going to want to, again, shift that warding up to the top jungle. because you're looking for either finding the jungler helping out his top laner or looking for a good excuse to dive that top laner so you can take his tower, although mid tower should be the next most important objective. Poor Hound, literally can't do anything. Okay, yeah, there we go. So they were looking for the blue buff. I didn't have the timer. Again, caster problems not on the spectator client versus casting off of the stream. Wasn't able to keep track of that blue timer for myself. So yes, now this makes sense. They did have an objective to go after. Gates down though, and Rengar again, JoyJ trying to make something happen. Unfortunately, the only thing he can counter in return to Snake's movements are a wolf camp, it appears. They do get the top tower, simply because Flandre expended everything in the last time that he met Hound. I believe it was because he expended so much in the mid lane and then just walked up, didn't have the teleport available. The 2v1 in the mid lane. I hear your mic pop, Pyra.
I am back, yes. Thank you for covering that.
Excellent.
That was awesome. And just in time as Hound, oh boy, teleports just to get locked up. They have been putting a lot of attention to this mid, haven't they?
Yeah, it's effectively been a 2v1 to help the Twisted Fate survive. Lost huge in CS, but again, can that 70 CS translate for Yasuo to carry this game?
Definitely hard to say. They're not going to be able to lean on anybody else at this point. Oh, man, 97 could make it 0 for 4 in just a minute. Hound's caught in a lot of places, but he does manage to get himself out with a nicely timed flash. JoyJ still on the run, who gets gold carded as well. Again, this trend is just continuing. Snake playing like the better team even in the worst situations.
Big power spike items also have come out for them. You have the completed Trinity Force on Corki before 20 minutes, as well as a nice BF sword. With that long sword also sitting there tells me that he might look Trinity to Bloodthirster. So old school Corki build coming out if he decides to continue with that.
Nope,
nice win wall from Hawk.
Yeah, it's not going to stop Colin, but it will make him flash as he was pretty low there, effectively taking copy out of the fight. I mean, that's the nice thing about Yasuo. You can negate any damage when you have a... Wait a minute. Hold on. There is the Destiny. They find Hound. Man, they've been beating up this Mundo. However, here comes Hawk, and the wave being ridden there. Luo trying to separate people. Reborn actually goes down. It's picked up by Ro. Colin coming in here, but the last breath is going to be Colin's last breath, and Flandre knows when to call it quits.
Just an issue that they didn't have the numbers advantage right there. They had, I was just about to compliment them on their superior vision control, the fact that they had the pink setup and Reborn was using Flandre as a, a bait?
Yeah, effectively.
For Hound to walk in, and then he swept thinking, or to make sure that he wasn't walking into some sort of trap right there, but unfortunately they didn't have the deep wards because all of their deep wards had been expended to secure the previous blue buff, that they weren't prepared to make a play like that in that top grid side jungle, and they got burned for it and in turn lose their mid tower.
Yeah, I mean, small mistakes resulting in big plays. However, they still have a pretty significant lead. Towers are even, so with all the mid towers, with all the first tier towers now effectively taken out of the game, that's going to open this map up to bigger and bigger plays. I'm actually surprised RM showed the restraint there to not try for Baron, knowing that there was still a pretty big danger. I mean, this is your old school Chinese thinking a lot of the times comes into play where it's just like immediately. But whoa, fan to fan! What are you doing out there, buddy? He barely gets away. Reborn and Copy coming in for a little bit of help, but Hawk got the wind wall out. That is going to be actually a solar flare. Wow. Okay, they just melt through JoyJ, and now they're going back on the offensive. Luo as well! Boom! Exploded. One more big one is all it took. And now the 5 members of Snake looking to make a push on this second tier mid turret. Not sure if they can do much about it. Hawk can't get involved. He's too low.
The only reason why that went as well as it did is because Copy actually got the gold card. It looked like a really nice wind wall, but Copy actually sidestepped it and got in that little crack between the wall and the wind wall, threw the gold card and locked him up, because Hawk otherwise would have immediately last breathed onto fan to fan when he hit him with the NATO. Probably would have deleted that Corki from the map.
Yeah, well, he was already in a pretty dangerous territory. Very strange that he moves that far forward that early. And look, his back gets canceled by Hound now. It's like they're trusting too much, although they might be able to find Hound here, even with his ultimate. Nope. Summoner heal, helping secure that one up. They're getting ready for Baron now, but fan to fan has to go back, and Hound's not letting him do it. Oh, here comes JoyJ. They drop fan to fan in the pit, but he's got a Valkyrie right on over. Colin is going to die, though. There's a pick up for 9-7. Copy has to Zanya's Hourglass. Hawk goes in, last breath down on Copy, gonna flash away. They've caught them in a little bit of a bad situation, but RM might have overcommitted to this. Luo now taking low Reborn, making some serious plays on that 3-1 Lee Sin, and that is a pickup. Oh my goodness, a double kill. Oh wow, going over to the AD carry.
The blunder of that fight, I don't know if you were watching Hawk right there. So the Nami tidal wave comes through, and Copy again comes up huge. He actually Zanya Hourglass. The Nami knockup did hit 2 other members, but Hawk had like zeroed in on the fact that he wanted to last breath Copy, that he missed the
opportunity to get the other 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing Hourglass that it allowed Twisted Fate to get those cooldowns up long enough. He eventually does get the last breath, but he missed the opportune one, which now translates into not only a dragon, but a free blue buff for
Hawk
Snake.
only picked up a last breath onto 1 target, too, and they didn't actually manage to kill anybody. So, yeah, a huge answer for Snake by winning that team fight, getting the full ace out. RM simply wanted to chase as far as they could to get an advantage, but they didn't execute it properly, you're right.
Didn't have the proper vision control, and again, they didn't utilize their cooldowns correctly, which kind of been a reoccurring theme for RM.
Snake definitely going in with those cold-blooded killer instincts.
I like the pickup of the Morello Namicon from Gragas right here to counteract the Mundo lifesteal. Not lifesteal, spellbound.
Yeah,
Regen.
actually,
I got
that's
it
a
the
really
third
nice
time.
choice. It's a thing that gives you more health. Let's go with that. Oh, Reborn.
Thing that makes you
Using the
really
red
tanky.
buff to get closer to Hound, and now they just are going to be able to steal that one away. Wow. Very nicely played out.
We'll see how they counteract from here, though. So again, diving incredibly deep. They don't have the deep wards. They have an inkling where people are, but they don't actually have any vision on Hawk.
Yeah, this
sorry.
could be a little
Water.
bit of trouble, actually. RM is moving in to try and secure a little bit more vision. They're actually making a bold rush towards the second-tier mid-turret. They don't have a wave with them, though. There's really nothing else for them to take in this area, but they're looking like they want to bait a fight. It's
They
kind
have
of
to
strange.
be incredibly careful, though. So you talked about how the towers have gone down, the map has opened up. When a map is open, Twisted Fate and Leona in particular are that much more terrifying due to a flank, which looks like we're about to see it right here.
Oh,
There's
wow, a
solar flare.
large solar flare landing on everybody. Copy going to focus out Luo. That is the squishiest Nami I have ever seen as the tidal wave disengage goes down. Snake Reborn is a little trouble. He's in a little trouble, but they managed to find a little bit of help there. Hound is targeted out as well. I mean, these guys don't look that tanky. Hawk's going to get fan-to-fan, but he's going to go down for all of it. Copy picking him up in a reversal, and now it is a 5v4 without their primary carry. Copy tries to get another gold card off. That was a nice bubble. Yeah.
So the primary problem with RM right now, of course, they didn't pick off the jungler, but it looks like they're actually rotating over to Baron, which this is going to be very obvious. Oh,
just
okay,
gonna
they're
bait it
setting
out.
up for a Fnatic brush.
This is, well, 2 members in the brush.
Well, look
3
at
in
how
the
many
pit.
members can get over the wall.
This is actually really
You have
nice.
Pointless
Joy did the right
Instant
thing, gets the
Valkyrie.
bullet out,
There
but
you
they're
go.
going to separate them, force them to scatter out again. Oh, Luo just barely dodging the phosphorus bomb. Fan-to-Fan actually took more poke than he gave there. Really quick disengage. These guys were very cautious of that. Oh, but the solar flare comes back up again. They find Hound. It may not have been the best target, but this is a dangerous territory. Luo! Oh, man! We didn't even get to see the barrel explode. Come on, camera guy.
From the 3-point.
Yeah.
There's nothing that RM can do right here. The issue with their composition is they literally have 0 hard engage. You have to think. The only way that they can start a fight, Cleaver and Bola. Like, that's literally
Well, they
it.
have to just
They have-
trust that Hound will live through any initial assault and just have him run in there. And the problem is he's not. He's not big enough yet.
Well, but the issue is there's no reason for them to fight Hound. If they want, they can just walk away from him. He has nothing to force them to fight.
Oh,
They have,
wow.
decent disengage in the form of
RM.
Nami, which Nami has had quite a few nice tidal waves. But frankly, the versatility of Colin, and this is why Leona will always be a very dangerous.
Oh my
there's a
goodness.
nice game.
Jue, he's down. Call in an ambulance going back to Fountain. However, they do trade out for Flandre, and Hawk, trying to make something of this here, is going to look for fan-to-fan, but he's being dealt
Beautiful
a lot more
solar
damage than he can return. Oh, wow, that was a nice solar flare as well. Yeah, Hound, he could go down here. He's trying to frontline it, but again, way too tanky. They just rip through his health bar, also finding themselves another pick on a 97, now looking to make it a clean ace. Luo's got nowhere to go, and he's down. That's another kill for fan-to-fan, and once again, The ace for one. Not even interested in Baron now. Snake looking to shove up again towards the mid. Frost, this game is starting to look like a lost cause for RM.
It's a procedural slow loss for them now at this point. Again, they don't have the composition to deal with this stage of the game because there's 0 towers kind of left and the map is so open. Again, it speaks to the strength of Leona and everything that she offers the team, and especially Chinese teams and how they like to team fight. This constant hard engage, disengage type of mentality. The fact that they have, you know, the gold card, the cask, everything that Leona brings. And again, there's literally nothing that RM can do. Even if they see a team fight that they absolutely love, that, you know, they finally get a numbers advantage, they've laid down maybe perhaps some poke with 97 there, and they want to go in. There's nothing that they can do. Snake can just walk away from it. So
yeah,
frankly,
even when
this
they've
is
been
just
caught.
a slow loss.
Even when they've been caught, Snake has had the better engagements. It looks like they're always like 3 levels ahead of their opponents.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. Though we've had some huge items coming out across the board now. You have a completed Trinity Force Eye Edge Blade of the Rune King Corki. That is a core, effectively almost a full build Corki as far as his damage is concerned, running around at 30 minutes. That's a...
You know, if you compare the items and the KDA, that's like the story of this game. Oh my goodness, going in onto Hawk with a 2v1. Copy gets in there and gets himself a Zhonya's, and that just allows enough time for them to finish off and collapse onto Hawk. Oh man, RM's still trying to make plays. Like, commend them for that, but they just aren't making the right decisions. They have to turtle this out.
But they don't have any anti-siege. You have a Yasuo mid lane. It's not like they have a Ziggs or an Orianna. There's no stall potential for them either. It's entirely in a team fight based composition.
They've definitely banked on the strength of their picks, and it just hasn't been paying out for them.
There was no cohesiveness with their picks. I mean, you have the synergy between Nami, Lucia, Nami, and Yasuo, but Rengar and Mundo?
No, it was definitely like a flavor of the month thing. Oh, they're gonna find Hound. That does not look like a Mundo, the way that they're able to take him down. One more falls as well. Hawk just coming off the fountain cooldown, but now this map is owned by Snake, and soon enough, this base will be as well. Inhibitor Tower number 2 looking to fall down, and they should be able to shove on forward. Reborn not worried about a thing. And let's talk about him for a minute, because he's been getting involved in so many of these team kills. It's pretty much all been team fights, though, for the last couple. Oh, man, Hawk. They want to find him, focus out, fan-to-fan. Get a little bit of wave riding action in, but he's going to go back onto Luo as well. A phosphorus bomb will do it. 97 is in trouble. Can he get back to Fountain? No, he cannot. That is one more pickup. One more drop in the bucket, and it looks like it's about to spill over right now as they take down Chue and complete the ace just in time for Hound to come back up. But that's going to be GG. Frostgren, game number 1, a complete shutout. Snake stomping RM.
In the words of Tryndamere, this will be a slaughter.
And it was.
And it effectively was. Better vision control, more cohesive composition, mechanical outplays just individually. I mean, you either have to win in the lane or you have to win in the team fight, and frankly, RM could do neither.
You know, if you were going to quote Tryndamere for like one horrible second, I thought you were going to go with my right left arm. and then I was thinking, like, how does that even apply to the situation?
Still applies.
Yeah, it's always truthful.
No, that was... Okay, I'm trying to think impressive things to say about that game. I think you actually stepped out of the room. Flandre actually looked really impressive, although it's hard to say because of the caliber of his opponent facing him in the lane. But
that was not the most impressive Mundo I've seen.
That said, Flandre did some very impressive things. Reborn, very impressive, recognizing the weakness of the Twisted Fate lane and doing what he could. The fact that the methodical decision to pick up a very strong jungler like Lee Sin in the context of bringing a very weak laner like Twisted Fate to balance that out, I think was incredibly intelligent, especially in conjunction with the Gragas pick top. So I feel like as a whole, Snake was much more methodical about, you know, creating a plan and then executing the plan. There was a couple blunders with some vision and going a little bit too overzealous, but that could be an issue of overconfidence. And respect.
It definitely seemed like it. Most of those came off of. Most of those turnarounds seemed to come off of Snake getting like a pick or a big play, and then waiting around too long in the early game when the death timers weren't that bad. And those were the chances that RM had to really grab kills back for themselves. But nonetheless, they really couldn't control any of the objectives.
Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate.
Let's see if they can do it game number 2. I mean, they will have another chance. If they do lose, it will be a 2-0. However, if they do manage to take a win out of that, forcing the game number 3, we'll have to see. So you guys are watching the Demacia Cup. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.